VoxFX.
Hello there, this is Shao, and welcome to the 8th episode of my 17-part series on getting a great vocal sound. Getting a great vocal sound. Getting a great vocal sound. Oh, that's so cool. Getting a great vocal sound. Getting a great vocal sound. Getting a great vocal sound. Oh, I'm having too much fun with this. But yeah, this series is a crash course, blah blah blah, performance, recording, mixing. Anyway, last time I went over the different aspects of mic placement to help you properly capture the performance of your vocalist. If you haven't already seen this video, go check it out. In today's tutorial, I'll show you some helpful tools and techniques to further improve the quality of your recordings. So let's get started.
Click tracks.
A click track is a digital metronome that plays alongside the other sounds in your arrangement. You'd think that if you have a pre-recorded drum or rhythm track, you wouldn't need a click track, but honestly, they're a big help. They ensure that every recording you do follows the beat of the song, especially if you're recording your music one instrument at a time. Further, they make the beat of the song predictable, which makes it easier for the performer to get in the groove and perform with confidence. A good click track is pleasing to listen to without being distracting, and is easy to hear over the other sounds. I've found that drum or percussion samples work best because they're loud, yet have no discernible pitch to distract from the key of the song. You also want to use a different sound at the start or downbeat of each measure, like in this example, which uses a conga drum. You can also try using different note lengths. The prior example was using quarter notes. Here's one using eighth notes. Customize the click track to the performer to make sure that they have what they need, but also pay attention to a musician that either refuses to use one or actually performs worse with a click track. Further, there may be songs, like more classical pieces, where a click track gets in the way more than it helps. So, use a click track, but also think about when it might be better not to use one.
Scratch vocals.
When you've got your vocalist all warmed up and ready to go, record a quick dry run of their performance. This recording is called a scratch vocal. While it is optional, a scratch vocal can be very helpful. It's used as a guide track for the performers so that they know which vocal parts are happening when, and it gives the vocalist a chance to add some directions for the other musicians if there are any. It can also help capture the vibe of the song so that the performers have something to work off of. But the most valuable thing about a scratch vocal is kind of a secret. It lets you capture a relaxed, impromptu performance. If you tell your vocalist, "Okay, we're just gonna record a quick scratch vocal to get things started," all the pressure is off and they can just be themselves. This can potentially result in some pretty amazing performances. So, even though this is a no-pressure take, record it like it's the real deal. Take the time to properly set up your equipment and your recording room, because it would be terrible if you happen to capture the best performance of the day, only to have it ruined because the mic was placed badly.
Headphone mix.
A vocalist's headphone mix is the balance of instruments that the vocalist hears in their headphones while they're performing. Having a well-made headphone mix will ensure a clear, confident performance. If you have a pre-recorded instrumental track, then much of the mixing is already done for you. All you have to worry about is the relative volume of the instrumental, the click track, the scratch vocal if you're using one, and the vocalist's output. The click and the vocal output should be loud enough that the performer can hear them clearly over the instrumental track, but not so loud that they cover it up. On the other hand, if you have control over the specific volumes of the instruments in your mix, things are a bit more involved. When starting out, always ask each musician what instruments they want to have in their headphone mix, because they might use a specific instrument as a cue for what to do next. With that info in mind, you need to build your headphone mix by setting the volumes of each instrument. You want the click track, kick drum, snare drum, and bass sound to be the most prominent. Put the output vocal sound at a slightly lower volume than those, and then put a chord or pad instrument at a lower volume than the vocal. If you're using a scratch vocal, make sure it's at a lower volume than the output vocal sound. Put in the remaining instruments at lower volumes than these. Always make sure that the entire mix is at a comfortable volume level for the performer, and that they can hear themselves clearly. Also, be sure to mute instruments that have a chorus or flanger effect, as well as any other sounds that might make the performer confused regarding timing or pitch. Further, if you can monitor your vocalist's performance as they make it, you can turn up or down the volume of the output vocal sound during the performance to encourage them to perform louder or softer as they're going. The quieter the vocal output, the louder the vocalist will perform. This can be a great way to guide your vocalist's performance so that it more closely matches your vision of the final product.
Live effects.
It's pretty common to apply real-time mixing effects to a vocal performance. This allows you and your performer to hear the processed vocal sound while it's being created, to make sure that it sounds the way it's supposed to when it's time to mix. Plus, as many people dislike the sound of their own voice, live effects help make their voice more pleasant to listen to. Some common choices for live effects include compressors or limiters, noise gates, de-essers, EQs, and maybe even a little delay or reverb. I'll be talking about all these effects in the section on mixing, but for now, just know that you can use them. Almost all DAWs support some kind of live effects processing. However, there is one very important consideration when it comes to using live effects. You need to decide up front whether you want your effects to be recorded into the audio file. If you don't want this to happen, you have to make sure your effects are being applied after the recording process. If you're not sure how to do this, consult the manual for your DAW. Most of them have some way to apply effects to the sound signal, but not to the recording itself. If you don't put your effects after the recording process, then the effects will be permanently applied to the recording and you'll never be able to change or remove them without re-recording. However, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you're happy with your vocal sound and your effects are set up just the way you want them, then go right ahead and record them into your audio file. It may seem a little scary at first, but committing to a vocal sound will make things easier in the mixing process, as you won't have to worry about these effects anymore. And once you get used to burning in your effects, you'll become more confident in your mixing decisions because you won't be second-guessing what is already a great sounding vocal. That all being said, I don't recommend committing to your effects like this until you're familiar with how they work. So if you're new to using compressors and EQs, try to record your vocals raw and then apply your effects. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say in this video. If you liked what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want more information or have any questions about what I've talked about, comment below. I'm always open for questions. And if you'd like to request a VoxFX tutorial, please send me a message. Remember, if it's talky, I can talk about it. In the next video, I'll share some extra recording tips to help get you on the right track. Until then, have fun and keep making sound. VoxFX.